talk about the big one, Facebook. Been in the news a lot. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know right now. Organic reach has been continually declining over the past few years. Way back in 2011, 2012, it was awesome. I was in director of digital marketing for a publisher. We could put content out there, build millions of followers fairly quickly. We posted something, you knew that you were going to get a 16 to 20% organic exposure. So basically, if you had 100 followers, you knew that 16 to 20% of those people were going to see that post without you paying a dime for that. And that's been drastically declining year after year. Now in 2018, we're at about 1.2% organic reach. So that's a very steep decline from 16% in 2012 on average to 1.2%. I've seen a bunch of reports where it's actually more like 0.5%. It ultimately depends on the platform, the brand, the page, the brand, and the content. But organic reach has drastically dropped over the years. So it leads to the question for a lot of people, should I even care about Facebook anymore unless I'm going to spend tons of money? And my answer to that is yes, you should care about Facebook. And the main reason that is it's just the biggest one out there by far as users are concerned. So it's really something that needs to be part of any social media marketing strategy. My last organization I was with, we had a website that was well over 5 million unique visitors a month, and Facebook was the number 2 or number 3 source of traffic every single month. And it was highly engaged traffic, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people every month. And they were usually the most stickiest traffic as far as the amount of pages they went to, the amount of links that they clicked on, and how long they stayed and engaged with the content. So Facebook, even though organic reach has disappeared and gone down to very little compared to what it was, it is still the biggest one out there, and you should heavily engage with it. So what else has been going on with Facebook, especially this year, is that we have seen the very steep decline of the use of the news feed. And stories, the use of stories is going through the roof. Now, why is that? Facebook, at the end of the day, has always been the platform of look at me. Look at me on vacation, look at my kids, look at my dog, look at this, look at that. It's always been very much a look at me platform. And stories really take that to the next level. And it makes it more fun, it makes it more engaging, it makes it a lot easier to have a conversation. So in 2019 and moving forward, stories is the place to be. And the other great thing about stories right now is that Facebook hasn't really figured out how to monetize it yet. So with that being said, you typically, if you're putting up good content, can get a lot of engagement through stories. And that really leads into the next big shift of Facebook this year before we get into the algorithm itself. Facebook, because of, and we all know everything that's been in the news the past couple of years with elections and Russians and all this fun stuff, is that Facebook has really done a big major shift. And this was a quote that Mark Zuckerberg put out through a post, which we linked to as well, back in 2018, where Facebook is going from, hey, helping you find relevant content to starting meaningful conversations. So that's really been the shift of Facebook, is how do you start conversations? How do you start meaningful conversations? There was tons of studies that happened over the past couple of years that people, as they were getting on Facebook, their anxiety levels were going up. They were getting frustrated. They were getting angry. Like, it was turning into a very unhealthy place to be. Preference bubbles, people getting very much in their own tribes and staying in those tribes. So this is really Facebook trying to correct that and really start focusing on how our conversation is being started. So with that being said, what does that mean? What does meaningful social interactions mean to Facebook? And Facebook's actually very clear and tells us what that means to Facebook. That means commenting or liking on another person's photo or status update. It means reacting to a post from a publisher, a brand, a publisher or a brand that a friend shared. Multiple people replying to each other's comments on a video or article. Sharing a link over Messenger to start a conversation. Keep that in mind. Keep Messenger in mind, because that's an important underutilized platform that really more companies should be taking advantage of. So with that being said, and how Facebook is positioning the meaningful social interactions, what does that mean for the algorithm? What is the algorithm really looking at? First off, credibility of a user is a major ranking factor. Okay, remember back a couple of years ago, anybody, and a lot of companies did, and a lot of entities did, could build tons of Facebook pages, tons of false Facebook profiles, shoot out a ton of messages, get some likes, get some engagement, build these lists. There's a lot of shenanigans going on, okay, as far as false users and false pages. So Facebook really does heavily look at the history of that page. How old is that page? How engaged is that page? How engaged is that account? How often do they share information? Do they comment? What's their overall history? Is this a true, legit page or user? That's very important in factors right now, in the algorithm's factors. Another thing, you'll hear this theme throughout this whole presentation. Native content takes precedence over own content. So what does that mean? Content that you create on Facebook, whether it be a video or an article, gets more exposure, period. Facebook wants your content. They don't want to share, okay? But this is all the platforms at this point. So anything you create right on Facebook. So gone are the days of posting tons of stuff, creating tons of articles on your website, and then posting it on Facebook and expecting a lot of traffic. They give precedence to content that's created on Facebook that's exclusive to Facebook. Now, it doesn't mean you can't still drive traffic to your site, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But anything that's created on Facebook will get more exposure. And over everything, whether it's video or articles, whether it's native or not, live video takes precedence over everything. So if you can develop a live video strategy for your organization, you are going to get good exposure. That is so important on Facebook. Live video trumps everything. And then another aspect to think about in regards to the algorithms, that Facebook prioritizes posts that starts conversations, okay? So content that is shared, and especially content that's shared over Messenger, receives a lot more weight because it looks like a much more natural conversation. So having a native post and then that being shared with John through Messenger, John on Messenger going, hey, that's really interesting, comment, likes it, shares it, uses Messenger to build it out. That is very, very important, is posts that starts conversations, but using Messenger really explodes those exposure of those posts. And another thing that's very important is the length of comments that your post is getting. Once again, going back to the conversation and social interactions, a comment that just goes, oh, that's cool, is different than somebody leaves a comment, hey, that's really interesting. You know, my thoughts on this are so-and-so, and this is what I think. Maybe you should check this out. Then your response. So having that conversation. So lengthy comments are also very highly weighed as part of a post, which can really increase exposure significantly. And then this is another one, and I've seen this tested a million times, and it rings true every time. Posting 5 times a day seems to be the sweet spot for exposure. At my last organization, we tested that quite a bit, optimal times, and once again, we were getting millions upon millions upon millions of data points in regards to Facebook. So they're a pretty good test, and I see it time and time again in my own research, is that posting 5 times a day does seem to be the sweet spot for posting on Facebook. And then other things to think about in regards to Facebook algorithm is that the post is shared immediately with a very small group of people. There used to be a magic number of 26. That's not true. Research has shown it's not 26. Nobody really knows how many people, but the post is showed immediately with a very small group of your followers. Depending on that engagement, they decide if they're going to send out to more people. So keep that in mind, is that there's going to be a small group that sees that post of your followers. If that gets high engagement, it keeps on getting shared. Now, we've talked about things that you should be doing. What are some things that you shouldn't be doing? One is, don't ask people to like, comment, or share your posts. This was a very common practice in 2011, 2012, even 13 and 14. This is a huge no-no. Facebook is doing everything in their power to really pull back any type of gaming the system and non-meaningful conversations. So don't ask people to like, comment, or share. It will impact your exposure, the exposure of your post on Facebook. And then no big surprise, don't use false or sensational headlines. This is something that, Google got called up to the halls of Congress to talk about. So they're really doing everything in their power to really fix this. I think Facebook is finally accepting the fact that they are a media company and they do have a certain level of responsibility as far as what happens on their platform. And this will just continue. And we've seen that with them banning people on both sides recently. And just really, I think it looks like they are taking responsibility for things that do happen on their platform, more so than they have in the past.